The most dangerous moment for FIFA is not always the bad call itself. Sometimes, it is the moment after the bad call, or after the controversy, when the football world waits for an explanation and gets something that feels smaller than the problem. A short statement, a closed investigation, a technical answer to an emotional question. And that is exactly why this Uruguay VAR storm has become bigger than one official, one image, one match day, or one angry set of fans. Because once trust breaks, the scoreboard is not the only thing people are watching anymore. They are watching the cameras, they are watching the review room, they are watching FIFA's response, and they are asking a very simple question. If this is the most advanced World Cup ever, why does the game still feel so badly explained? The controversy began with something small enough to be missed live, but powerful enough to explode once people saw it again. During the tournament, a video assistant referee was shown in a broadcast segment and accused online of making a controversial hand gesture. The official later denied any deliberate meaning, and FIFA's disciplinary process cleared him, saying it found no evidence of a rules breach. On paper, that sounds like a complete institutional response. The case was reviewed. The official gave an explanation. FIFA made a decision. But football does not live only on paper. Football lives in the instant replay, in the freeze frame, in the clip passed from one phone to another, in the angry group chat, in the fan who has already watched his team travel across a continent, wait in airports, survive delays, and then sit through a tournament where every decision feels like it belongs to someone behind a screen. That is why Uruguay became part of a much larger VAR conversation. Their World Cup was already surrounded by frustration before the ball had properly settled. Travel problems disrupted preparation. Their opening draw with Saudi Arabia was played in a stadium that officially announced a huge attendance, yet visually left many viewers questioning empty sections and late-arriving crowds. Then came the pressure of results. The draw with Cape Verde, the final defeat to Spain, the red card, the anger, the collapse, and the feeling that the tournament machine had swallowed another team whole. And in the middle of all that, FIFA's message was basically, we checked it, and it is over. That is the gap. That is the real scandal. Not necessarily that FIFA made the wrong disciplinary decision. Not that every online accusation was automatically true. Not that every Uruguay fan complaint deserves to become a global conspiracy. The scandal is the trust gap between what FIFA thinks counts as transparency and what football fans now demand from a tournament this big. Think about what VAR was supposed to become. It was sold to football as the machine that would remove the obvious injustice. The tool that would stop a World Cup from being decided by a missed handball, a phantom penalty, a goal that crossed the line, or a red card the referee never saw. But over time, VAR has become something more complicated. It does not just correct decisions. It changes the emotional experience of watching the sport. The goal is not a goal until the screen allows you to celebrate. The tackle is not a tackle until a room of officials decides whether the contact is enough. The roar is delayed. The anger is delayed. Even justice is delayed. And when justice arrives late, it has to arrive clearly. That is where FIFA keeps running into the same wall. At this World Cup, VAR's authority has expanded even further, including more areas of review and more layers of technical oversight. In theory, that should mean better control. In practice, it creates a bigger responsibility to explain. If the technology is now powerful enough to shape corners, second yellow cards, fouls before set pieces, penalties, red cards, and offside lines, then the people operating it cannot be treated like invisible technicians. They are part of the match. They influence the story. They carry public trust. Uruguay know this feeling better than most. Go back to 2022. Uruguay beat Ghana, but still went out of the World Cup. At the final whistle, their players surrounded and confronted officials, furious over penalty decisions they believed had damaged their tournament. FIFA later punished several Uruguay players and sanctioned the association. Whether you thought Uruguay were right, wrong, emotional, or out of control, the point was obvious. This is a football nation with a long memory when it comes to refereeing controversies. Uruguay do not process World Cup exits quietly. They carry them like bruises. So when another World Cup brings another storm involving VAR, officiating, disciplinary process, and FIFA communication, the past walks back into the room. Fans do not judge these moments as isolated events. They stack them together. 2022 becomes part of 2026. A delayed flight becomes part of poor organization. A half-empty looking stadium becomes part of ticket outrage. A cleared official becomes part of a transparency debate. A red card against Spain becomes part of a tournament where Uruguay looked angry before they looked defeated. This is why FIFA's first response felt unsatisfying to so many people. It answered the narrow question, but not the larger one. It said there was no evidence of a disciplinary breach, but it did not fully repair the feeling that the World Cup's most sensitive systems are still being handled behind a curtain. And the more FIFA expands the role of VAR, the more that curtain becomes the problem. The counter-response came from the people outside FIFA's walls. Anti-discrimination voices, angry supporters, journalists, former players, and ordinary fans who were not satisfied with a closed-door conclusion. They wanted accountability that looked public, not just procedural. They wanted to understand not only what FIFA decided, but how FIFA decided it. And in modern football, that distinction matters. A decision can be technically defensible and still publicly damaging. A statement can be legally careful and still emotionally tone-deaf. A review can be completed and still leave the audience feeling excluded. That is the new reality of world football. The institutions still speak like they control the room, but the room has changed. Every fan has a replay. Every supporter has a platform. Every unexplained moment becomes content, debate, outrage, and suspicion. FIFA may believe a short official ruling closes the file. The internet treats it as the opening whistle. Historically, football has always had these moments. The hand of God in 1986 became a moral argument that lasted decades. Frank Lampard's disallowed goal against Germany in 2010 became a symbol of why goal line technology was needed. The first major VAR controversies at the World Cup showed that technology could solve one argument and create three more. What has changed now is scale. In the old days, controversy belonged to newspapers, television panels, and pub arguments. Now it belongs to everyone instantly. The image freezes, the clip loops, the narrative hardens before the institution has finished drafting its statement. That is why this Uruguay VAR scandal matters going forward. It is not just about one official being cleared. It is about whether FIFA understands that credibility is no longer built by authority alone. It is built by explanation. If FIFA wants fans to accept deeper VAR involvement, it has to give them deeper transparency. Release clearer audio. Explain review thresholds in plain language. Make disciplinary processes easier to understand. Stop acting surprised when supporters do not simply trust the badge on the letterhead, because trust is the real scoreboard. Uruguay's tournament is over now. Bielsa's project collapsed into frustration. Muslera's mistake against Spain will be replayed with the sadness of a veteran's final chapter. Valverde's visible anger will become one of those images people use to summarize an entire campaign. And somewhere behind all of it sits the larger question: did Uruguay fail only because of Uruguay? Or did this World Cup once again expose how fragile FIFA's control of the narrative has become? That is the question fans have to answer for themselves. Was FIFA right to close the case quickly if it found no evidence? Or should the biggest tournament on earth now demand a higher standard of public explanation? Is VAR making football fairer? Or is it making football feel more distant from the people who love it? And when the next controversial clip appears, will anyone believe the official statement before they believe the replay? The final image is not a boardroom in Zurich. It is not a legal paragraph. It is a Uruguay player standing on the pitch after elimination, shirt pulled close, eyes full of anger, while the stadium noise rolls around him, and the tournament moves on without waiting. That is football's cruelty. The machine keeps moving. The fans keep arguing. FIFA keeps explaining just enough to end the matter officially, but not always enough to end it emotionally. And in 2026, that may be the biggest VAR problem of all. If you think FIFA handled this the right way, Say so in the comments. If you think this is another example of football becoming too controlled, too hidden, and too distant from the fans, I want to hear that too. Like the video if you want more World Cup controversy breakdowns. Subscribe for the next one. And remember, in modern football, the replay does not just show what happened. Sometimes, it shows who people no longer trust.